2019. Sofia Sjoborg, 23 years of age, representing Sweden with the Zangerscheid sired by Bamako de Moose, 10 years old, Bryjamolga von het Marienshof Z.
You torture yourself, Spencer,
Was that?
saying that name twice.
I think I did it 3 times.
So here we go, shoulder in, looking very polished. Nice, active, again another one attacking their test with a good amount of energy.
10-year-old mare.
Thank you. Doesn't look hurried, but just energetic. Uses very nice hind leg, very nice halt. It's a shame about those front legs, but the hind legs just sat down without jerking, and she's got very lovely hind leg movement. You'll watch her in a minute. Very active. And when I say active, I mean everything bends. The hock bends, the hip bends. And that's what you want in a horse that's going to jump. You don't want a hind leg that just takes little strides and doesn't bend everywhere. And it's much easier for them to sit down if they've got an athletic hind leg, and she has.
Yeah, she has. I always think of these things that, you know, when you're riding a horse like this, it's got a powerful back end. I've talked before about being able to control the amount of energy you create from the back end to support and lighten the front end to get that ease of movement. It's a little bit like if you can imagine when you're creating energy, when a whale comes up to the surface and releases the air, releases that that is coming out of the between the ears. You're creating all of that, and it's got to come somewhere. And with the horse, it's the same. You create the energy, you create the elasticity.
And what I'm seeing here, to interrupt you a little, is that you've got this terrific activity behind, and you've got a almost a size lighter in front, not as strong a front end to absorb the power that it's creating. A little bit cheeky there, and they can sometimes misinterpret and get the wrong leg. And you just try to ignore it because the communication system just broke down for a minute, and that I also saw, Spencer, was a stride late behind. But it is interesting when you see this horse profile on, and we will see it profile on in the extended canter, and I think you'll see what I mean, that you've got this activity power in the engine, and then the front end is just a whole degree lighter frame, lighter boned almost.
Partly because of possibly the mare's age, being 10 years old, she needs to get a little bit stronger in front to manage what's happening behind. Once she learns to manage and to much better that way. I mean, it wasn't on the button, it wasn't where it should have been, but it was clean.
Change,
once she learns, and I think this is why we've got the shaking of the head, because the hind end is doing all of this work, and the front end doesn't know what to do with it.
Doesn't quite able to balance it, But you know, you think if you're in racing terms, 10 is an oldish horse, but in eventing terms, it still can be quite a young horse, 10. Muscularly, strength-wise, he'd take a very long time, especially the warmer-blooded horses. The thoroughbred will develop quicker. Rattling down the centre line, a little bit of a squealer, breaks to the halt, but pretty good.
Yeah, a lot to like with that mare. Again, thinking about where she is in her career, what she's done so far, the pluses and the minuses throughout the test, and of course there were some. And once she's learnt to deal with the balance, to deal with the power that I don't think necessarily knows she's got either at the moment. When she knows how to deal with it, to cope with it, and to utilize it in the way that probably Sofia Sjoborg has also got to learn to ride.
How to handle it.
Exactly. Then these two will be, because I think at the beginning of the test, she was right up there. And the mare, when she started the canter work, you know, again, was just getting quite exuberant, was getting quite keen to get on with the movements. And it was lovely. I mean, some super trot work, some really good angles in the shoulder in, some really good suppleness through the half passes and the way she moves through her body. She's got the ability, she's got the room in the middle of her body, in the rib cage, to bend and to soften and supple. But then when you're asking for the slightly more collected work, from the walk to the canter, from the canter work, the extension back to the more collected work, she just doesn't know what to do with it. The brain's going, can't cope, abort. And then Sofia's doing a really good job of just settling the mare down, back down the rein again and saying, look, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. 30.3 goes into 12th place, 140, 151.5, 147.5, and that puts her into 12th place. Bryjamolga von Het Marienshof Z. And Siri's now picked up on me saying that and said, sorry, could you say that again? No.
Galloping into a fence, an event horse is another.
Now my favourite horse. This is Bryjamolga von Het Marienshof Z and Sofia Sjoborg for Sweden, the 10-year-old mare, Zangershire bred.
I was thinking, how do you know this mare? And then I realised what you meant by your favourite horse. It's the name.
Yeah.
And you've done brilliantly. Well done.
Well, she goes to the chase fence at 2 on her cross-country campaign, and on to the racecourse.
Another one.
Oxa.
I think that turn was excellent. It is hiding in the bushes there. The horses don't see it until the riders turn them, so you can forgive them for saying, come on, the racecourse goes this way. I love the keenness, I love the enthusiasm, I love this love that horses have for cross-country. That's why we love it, because our horses love it. If they don't love it, we're not bringing them, because they've got another job in life.
She has slowed the canter down.
Oh my goodness, we've got a slower one. Oh, well, she's off again now, though. Just sit and wait. You don't have to go for a big stride when you see it into a so-called coffin. But it was flawless. Well done. Bryjamolga. Not going to try.
Bryjamolga von Het Marienshof Z.
You show off. Excellent. If you can
I'm
say
sure
it,
it's
you
wrong.
were said. No, I'm sure you're right that it's wrong, but at least you got the guts to have a go. You certainly saw the long one there. Well done. We can have a wall, so that they do have to slow down for. So here we have the unpronounceable Swede, Sofia Sjoborg, and making a very lovely job.
10-year-old mare, very keen,
Thank you.
isn't she?
Yeah, but she's got it, hasn't
Yeah.
she? She's got a real good, I want this. And they've got to want it. They've got to love it. There's no thing worse than riding a horse cross-country who doesn't say, let me at it. Because then you know the heart isn't as there as it needs to be. So we love this keenness, but we have to find a way of controlling it and balancing it, and sometimes that means a change of bit, and sometimes it means many, many changes of bit. I swear there's a bit out there for every horse, but a lot of horses are uncomfortable in certain shapes and certain mediums. Some horses hate metal, and you have to experiment. Lovely over that. My sort of advice is buy no new bit, but try lots and lots and lots, because people buy bits and they're a lot of money, and then they say to the horse, I've spent all this money, you've got to now go in this bit, and they may hate it. So borrow lots, buy little. She's strong. And she saw a beautiful stride, having rebalanced her. She saw a lovely stride. Now, is she going to slow down for these two hedges? Yep. This is going to be one stride. I can't see this one putting in two. But it's nice that we've seen a couple of horses make the two strides so easy, and that's what I love about cross-country. You can decide what stride you think it's going to be, but then you've got to be ready for what stride it actually might be. And that's one of the great foundation blocks of cross-country riding. Know what the stride will be and be ready for anything. You must never imagine that what you've walked is exactly what's going to happen, because very often the way the horse jumps the fence makes that stride a different balance and pattern. So coming up to the log that took out Joseph Murphy and has very nearly taken out two others who wobbled precariously, do you remember, Spencer?
Yeah.
On landing. That was a beauty.
One of them being Katrin.
One of them being
Yeah.
catching from another unpronounceable name, but of course
A number of riders inside the time as Bryjamolga von Het Marienshof Z and Sofia Sjoborg for Sweden heads down the tree line and onto the wine bar at the 19th.
making a lovely job of that. The shadows may become more interesting there as the day wears on. Things change a lot, as we know, the put her legs on and her horse just popped over.
To Sofia. So this little mare really impressed. She just has kept her ears pricked and looking for the next fence, and it's quite easy to spot the wrong fence.
Yes.
Especially when you come to that vicarage ditch, which she's not too far away from now.
Toujours pas de faute dans le parcours de Sofia Sjoborg pour la Suède, associée à Bryjamolga, Marienshof.
They are amazing horses. They come out that corner, they're so asked to go, they've no idea what they're going into, they just take it in 1 second they've translated what the problem is and jump it. They are quite phenomenal. They're quick thinking. I mean, that's what's kept them away from the lions all these centuries and millennia. Next fence number, back we are to our vicarage, and lovely footwork in front of that, just pinged off the takeoff platform that Mike Ellington-Smith has told us he's built on a gentle ramp up to that fence. Wiggle through the chicane that just helps you slow up for this, which definitely got a little bit close to, but it doesn't matter when the lower bit of the fence is so low as they are on those triple brushes. Arrowhead brushes. So a little bit low on the clock because I'm going by Spencer's 45 seconds, which is about now. We haven't quite got to the turn to the Arrowhead, but a really lovely round this. Must be a very small horse too, because she's not enormous, Sofia. Nice balance, get the eye on the fence. Yep, got it, well done, super. When you pull a horse up to rebalance him, they can very often look back at you and not look up at what's happening in front of them. You have to be very aware that they look back at you when you pull them. That you could see very well there when she just balanced her. The horse's eye went back to her, and then when she softened her hand, the horse's eye went back out to the fence. Whoops, well done. Very good footwork. What a little dancer is this. I don't even know if it's a mare or not. Spencer, help.
Yeah, it is a 10-year-old mare.
Thank you. She is a little dancer, isn't she? Seeing her through that last double. This is a really pleasing run. Well done, Sofia. Well done for Sweden.
Well, as she completes. But Sofia Sjoborg, 23 years of age, starts on 35.9 with the 10-year-old by Bryjamolga von Het Marienshof Z, and this is a 10-year-old owned by Juliet and Sofia Sjoborg. And they start in 17th place on 35.9.
17th might not sound much to some of you listening, but let me tell you, you're pretty thrilled if you come out after the cross-country, the European Championships, out of 67 starters in 17th, as he does a beautiful job through that treble, really tidy. Didn't leave it any extra, but he really made sure of it. What a sweet horse. Sofia doing a lovely job. They must know each other really well, these two. They're really together. Tightening him up, getting a beautiful jump after that collection into the double. Some have kept going after the water jumps, some have coiled the spring. Both ways can work, depends on your horse. Opened up over that oxa, and then lovely jump over the last. Well done.
Yeah, great round for Bryjamolga von Het Marienshof Z. Sofia Sjoborg.
You're just showing off.
Is an individual rider for Sweden. So a great round for her and the 10-year-old. She completes on 35.9. That is the leading score. That leaderboard will change considerably. She's absolutely delighted with this horse in the show jumping, and why wouldn't she be? Really jumped his little socks off. Got some.
And then she just does a really good job at coiling the spring and holding them together with her legs and her hands, and gets him right into the air, and we've seen some get very flat out over that double, particularly the last element. So very well ridden, Sofia.
Yeah, Sofia Sjoborg, individual rider for Sweden. Bryjamolga von Marienshof Z.